Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Right, I'm Dr. Shibrato Chattopadhyay. I'm a professor and HOD of Business Administration at University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, and we are really grateful to have Professor Charmaine Gangen. She is a professor of healthcare and entrepreneurship. In fact, she is one of the leading mentors, I can say, across the world, right? So it's a real pleasure to have her, and on this special day of International Women's Day. So having Professor Charmaine with us is a real pleasure. But before we start, let me introduce International Internship University to you. International Internship University, IIU, is a leading virtual education system and a global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it's a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to providing a better and virtual education to all young learners across the globe. And in a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to students from various social and cultural backgrounds. So we come straight away now to our topic, and our topic is successful living, right? I think all of us do want to live successfully, right? So my first question to you, Professor Charmaine, would be, what is successful living to you?
To me, can you hear me, rather? Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're audible.
Fantastic. Yeah. So successful living to me is actually being able to live your life to the fullest, also being able to do the best that you can for as many people as you can. So I essentially am a utilitarian. I love just doing good. Most of the work I do, I don't even get paid for it, but I just believe that I was put on this earth to do as much as I can for as many people as I can, whether I get paid for it or not. So, and being able to go to bed at night being absolutely happy because I just love what I do and I just live each day doing what I love. And that's basically it for me.
So, which means that, successful living to you is carrying out things which you love best and going out to people for, every possible help. Because, the more service that you offer to people, right, there is a saying, I think, in the Bible, which says that the more you give, the more you get. So
Absolutely.
That's what. Now, you see, you have been a mentor, an entrepreneur. You are a versatile person. You don so many hats, right? And when you are talking about living these days, right? We all are so virtually connected, right? So the physical touch is possibly missing. Even these days, if you see, maybe family members, for a family maybe size of 3, right? You will see that even, when they are sitting together, they all are hooked to their mobile phones. So, even, they are talking, maybe, communicating, but their eyes are, on the screen. So
absolutely.
So do you think that life without any electronic gadgets was a scope for more successful living? Does technology actually hinder the success in our life process?
I, I think the important thing to remember is that, we are living in a constant changing world. We're living in a dynamic world. And, I think COVID has actually taught us that, we had to change the way we think. We had to change our business processes and lots of internal changes we had to do within ourselves in order to adapt to what COVID had brought to us. It kind of like brought the whole world to a standstill. So from my point of view, I believe that everything has to have a balance. So, for example, I mean, I rushed from a 6 hour training session 4.5 hours away from my home, and I've pulled into the hotel where I'm living in. I'm actually outside now, and I'm with you. So I believe that, as individuals, as people, we need to look at what is important to us. What are the things, what are the key drivers in our lives? So if I must look at myself, my key driver in my life is that I just want to do and I want to give. And I don't care if I have to drive to wherever to do whatever I have to do. I like to commit and do as much as I can. Like I said, utilitarian, doing as much. So essentially, when it comes to technology, we cannot say that we need to go back 100 years ago where there was no technology. No, we need to embrace the changes that are actually coming along. We need to adapt to technology and also use it to the best of our ability in our personal lives, in our the way that we live, in terms of work, study, and everything. So like, for example, like my daughter's moving away, she's going off to the UK, and then I know the only way that I'm going to be able to communicate with her is going to be via, WhatsApp and via video calling and streaming. And that's an amazing thing about technology. In the old days, we would get onto a plane and go and visit once a year or once in 5 years or something like that. So this technology is actually a huge advantage. What I'm doing currently now, I'm talking to you, I'm doing this live streaming. This is absolutely amazing because now technology has allowed us to connect across the global divides, countries, people, diversity. We are just reaching out anywhere, everywhere, whether it's personal lives, whether it's business, whatever that it is. So I believe that yes, in life we strike a balance. For example, if I'm at home now, I know that I give certain time to chatting to my friends on the phone or doing my business online or whatever. So we need to, as individuals, to prioritize certain things in our lives. We have to strike a balance between, we've got kids, kids time, study, study time, work time, and we need to embrace it and to make it work for us. And I think the sad part is, I think when people have not had a chance or an opportunity to be able to use and to actually be able to prioritize their lives and the things that they do, and to be able to use technology to maximize the benefit. We always talk about, in this, we maximize profits and, we minimize loss. But in terms of technology, it's maximizing the use of technology to suit our lives, professionally and personally.
All right, very well explained. Uh, so you have seen that over the last decade, uh, women, especially, you will relate a little bit because you have your origin in India, right? So women uh, have moved out from their homes to working. So the working women has increased, and I think on Women's Day we should celebrate this because women has different roles which possibly men, there are certain things which I think even men cannot do, right? So women, they are mother, sister, right? And teacher, maybe if they're working in an office, they have a professional role. So you were talking about balancing. So how do you tie the different ends and manage your professional as well as your personal pursuits, and still move on. If you are talking about family, right? Many a times you will find that, yeah, many a times you will find that, there is a, pay for, the more you do for your family, right? They actually think that it is for granted, right? Whereas, whereas, when you work for your office, you have your key result areas, right? KRAs, as they call it, right? So you have to meet all these key result areas so as to move up the different levels on the professional hierarchy. So how do you think that, a woman at home is pursuing successful living, as well as a woman at the workplace is also can also be successful in their life process? What is your take?
So I think if we look at the role of women traditionally, traditionally women, we're supposed to be in the home, do the cleaning, do the cooking, look after the kids. And then suddenly life changed, and the world changed, and then women now are the forefront of so many things in life. And I firmly believe it for myself. I wear many hats, like you said earlier on. I've got five career paths, and I choose to give each one of them the exact amount of time to each career, and in that as well, to balance my time with my home and family. And I think, if I must look at it from a religious point of view, I always believe that I'm really very blessed with the things that I have and the things that I can do and the difference that I can make and the changes that I can make. And I also believe that, a woman's role, I think, I think God created women with a lot of versatility. We can chop and change, and, when there are crises, we can manage it in the home, we can manage it in the office, wherever we are. We have that type of, I think I'd like to say like an like a built-in versatility, where we can just chop, change, address challenges and stuff like that, just so that we can uh, uh, love, and also give each thing, each factor, or each stream, its desired amount of time, energy, and effort as well. So for me, while I do wear all these, multifaceted things that I do, I just live. I think I live a very, part of my life can be very, very structured, where I have a structure. I also teach leadership, and I teach strategic leadership, and I always believe that leaders you must have some sort of structure. You must know what your short term, medium term and long term goals are. And if you look at my study, there's a huge calendar that's for the year. Then there's another plan for the next 5 years. Then there's a plan for the month. Then there's a plan for a week. Every hour of every day of mine is structured in some way, where the desired amount of time is given to everything. So I've been away from home since Monday. I'm busy out of the province. I'm busy doing healthcare training all over the province. So I'm constantly driving and constantly moving. So what I do is I try to maximize my use of communicating with my friends and family. So while I'm driving, I am on my phone. Okay, so I've got hands-free kids, so I'm definitely not holding my phone and driving. Hands-free kid, chatting to mom who's at home, chatting to family at home, chatting to sisters in other provinces. How are you guys doing? Catching up with friends, catching up with the campus, where I also work full-time, but I do online work, and that's in the evening, catching up with campus, basically. So I use my time very, very structuredly. For me, I do not waste any time with just anything. I have a lot of structure in terms of my time. Also, in terms of that, so also I'll give you another example. On Monday, I was traveling to my next training destination, and we had a huge training session for the entire Western Cape department. So while I was driving again, I got onto my phone, And I was attending the training. So I attended 2 hours of training, asked the questions I wanted to ask, and they have fulfilled my responsibility. So I think a lot of it comes with you, the person that you are. You know, you structure your life, you give each thing or each person or each entity importance, and from there you can actually work so effectively and also efficiently, because you know you're doing, because you're maximizing your time, you're making use of resources. You know, in business we always teach you, I used to teach my MBA students, you maximize your resources, you use everything that you have. So yeah, I've got my cell phone technology, I've got my laptop on just in case something happens, and the power, you know, in South Africa we have huge power issues, load shedding almost all day. So just have backup plans in place, you know, putting things in place and putting things also into perspective. I think that's the very important thing. Structure and putting things into perspective is actually what is very, very important. And I think when you have that ability to also be flexible, to flex yourself, you know, you can't just be so stuck in a rut where you only just have one point of view or one way of working. You've got to embrace everything that life has to offer, that technology has to offer, that everything, whether it's work, whether it is global entrepreneurship, whether it's my students, everybody gets time, and nobody can say I have neglected them for this week. I just give everybody time, and I even have time even to watch a good series on TV as well. So yeah.
Great. So, you know, I agree to you that, if you plan beforehand and, if you structure things, everything falls in place.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there is an echo. Uh,
Just I think
I'm logged
I
in from
have.
two devices.
Okay, let me just get off my phone.
Is it fine?
I just want to disconnect from my phone. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm trying to. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yeah, you're audible. But, if you mute one of your devices, that would be good. Then the echo will be
Uh,
stopped. And your camera is not showing. So,
okay, so
yeah,
let me just
yeah, now
stay
it's fine.
muted
Yeah,
and then just leave this one meeting. Okay, I think
now
that's
it's fine.
better.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Sorry
it's
about that. I
fantastic
was
now.
using two devices. You see, that's technology. I'm using two devices because I have to have one as a backup because we have load shedding here. So you've just got to be prepared.
That's true. That's true. So, what I was, thinking is that if you are planning and if you are structuring your life, so that everything falls in place, so you have a schedule, you maintain that schedule, and over time you are doing it, right? Don't you think that, after some time you become like a robot, right? Wherein you are actually training yourself to be a slave of that particular routine or the schedule, and not improvising and enjoying your life. So, you know, after some time you will feel that, uh, oh, this is how the string of things happen, and as a result of which, uh, I'm not enjoying my life. So that would actually hamper my successful living. What are your views and take on it?
I think everything again just boils down to the individual, so for me, like I said, part of most of my life was about doing things for everyone else, utilitarianism, altruism, being able to do things for other people without being given any kickbacks or money in return, just being able to do. And I think for me, the reason why I am able to do all of these things and to maximize myself without actually stressing. I'm totally unstressed. I mean, like most of the people ask me, like, how can you do so many things and you just so de-stressed, you look so chilled. I think it's because I also believe when you do things from the heart, when you do things from the heart, you do it to the best of your ability as well, and you give it your maximum. And I think in saying that, I think when people reach that level in life where you have now realized, now I've reached the stage of restitution, or I've reached the stage of, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, when you have reached that
Self-actualization stage.
self-esteem, when you have reached the top, that self-esteem, there's like nothing in the world that can now bother you or trouble you or affect you, because you've now achieved all the things that you want to achieve. And if there comes a time where you cannot do something, then you just restructure that plan that I have with doing all the 5 things, the different careers, the different amount of work. All you then do is just, as an adult, you just say, okay, I think I cannot manage with this now. So no one's going to kill you. No one's going to say anything. Now, all you do is restructure. And if something is overwhelming, and that is the thing I think about human beings, even when things are overwhelming and challenging, we tend to still just push through. And I believe that if you cannot cope with something, then get rid of something that's stressing you. These are all part of life stresses. And if something's terribly stressing you, then why go ahead and continue doing it? Just take some time off and say, okay, I'm done now. Let me just have a few months to myself. Let me just now get to re-energize myself, and then you continue again, or you even leave it. So I think the fact is that we tend to say that things are cut in stone. We've got to do this. We must do that. Absolutely not. No one on earth does have to do as many things or anything at all. You choose what's important to you, what you want to do. And if the going gets tough, too many challenges, you just park it and you say, okay, fine, I'll come back to you later, or I'll continue, or you just leave it. I mean, if something's really stressing you out, why continue doing it? Leave it, park it. If your job is stressing you out, you go up to your HR department, you go to your manager, and you say, okay, this part of my job is stressing me. Can we make a plan? Can we put some processes in place so that I can get a little bit of de-stresses? And what I've actually learned is that in many of the developing countries, in terms of labor law, people are working more than the desired hours of work. If you're working in South Africa, our law stipulates 8 hours. More than 8 hours, you must get paid overtime. So I can't understand how some developing countries, they work 16 to 18 hours. No, we need to have plans in place. We need to have legislation in place. And also in terms of your personal self, you also need to have certain guidelines for yourself as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, there are many stories wherein, it is found that, a women on their career path has excelled, much more than men, right? So, why do you think that this happens? And again, at the same time, there is also a lot of discrimination, lot of hindrance which is there, which actually, takes away the peace from our lives. So, uh, so 2 things. One is that, do you think that uh, women is more successful than men? Number 1. And yeah, so is this a myth, or is this because many research shows that given the responsibility, the sincerity, the dedication, and the compassion is much more in women as compared to men. So these are different sayings you can say that are there. It may be a myth or a reality. I just want to understand what is your thinking on this line.
Okay. 1 of 5. Sorry, just give me 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah. So basically, are women more successful than men? That's one. And number two, that women face a lot of discrimination and hurdles, but because of their sincerity and dedication, they can move high. So, what do you feel? How do you cope up to such situations, or if your peers maybe facing a similar situation, right? If you can give some examples and insights.
Okay, so basically, I think like I said earlier on, in the old days, the woman's place was in the home doing cooking, cleaning. So it has evolved over the years, and now women are seen as now independent entities. We are different. We are independent. We are actually so diverse. We can multitask. We can change. We can do so many things at one time, which you also said that very few men can actually do. So the opportunity for women many years ago was not there. Now the world has changed. It becomes so dynamic that women are given the opportunity to do so many more things. And I think when society, we all live in a society that also inhibits and prevents a lot of things, especially in terms of the role of women. But as changes continue and the paradigm actually shifts, and we see women now in a different light. We see them now as beings who are absolutely independent. They are able to think and also do a lot of the things that men used to do. And you find that with the composition of a woman, and women being the multitaskers that they can actually do so much more. And especially if they are given the opportunity, I think when you give a woman an opportunity, she can excel. She can essentially, someone told me the other day, when a woman gets an opportunity, she can take on the world. There is nothing in the world or on the planet can stop a woman who is given an opportunity and who is allowed to spread her wings and grow. And I think, in a lot of our societies, and especially in the developing world, we still very much, a lot of us, a lot of society still very much, I won't say backward, but still not educated enough on the diverse role that a woman can play. It's not only that, if you're married, you're at home, you need to cook, clean, look after your husband. No, there's so many things that you can do, as well as take care of your home, fix. I mean, I'm a DIY girl. If something is broken, I'm busy fixing, screwing, doing all sorts of things at home. So I think it's all about us being given that opportunity. I'm very blessed that my parents brought me up in a very, very open, diverse way, where I can do as anything that I wanted to do on earth. My parents just asked me, what do you want to do? And I just said, okay, I changed so many career paths because it was just so exciting. I was given the opportunity. No one was there to judge me. No one was there to ask me. No one was like, you cannot do this. You cannot do A, B, C, D. So I was blessed with that opportunity to really, really open my heart and my being to just do and try whatever it is that I wanted to do and try. And I think when people, as parents as well, when we start doing that, even now, when we start embracing this change, this role of woman, and we start even inculcating that into our children as they are growing up, young boys, train them, this is the role of the woman. She's not only there to cook, clean, have babies, she's there for so much more. And when we start changing that mindset from a young age, training society with that mindset, I think we can achieve so much more. And I think a lot of change also must come from men themselves. The world over, we're seeing so much of physical abuse. We've seen so much of mental abuse, financial abuse, so much where even though the woman can contribute and do so much more, she's being limited in so many other ways. And I think when men open up their thinking, and become, open to changes and the role of woman, life would be so much better. And also the fact that there's nothing also stopping men from also doing some of the woman's chores. It doesn't, and I think that mindset needs to change. It doesn't make you less of a man if you're going to help with washing dishes, you're going to help to feed the kids, bath the kids. So as that process goes on and the dynamics change, the paradigm shift happens, the world is going to be a much better place, and women are going to be the greatest leaders, because I mean, you know, we are mothers. We can do so much more than just what we do as moms.
Very true. Very true. Again, you know, in the similar lines, you will see that in the, you know, personal life as well as professional life, there is, you know, delineation that, you know, this type of, you know, works and activities are fit for women, right? And in your home also, you will see that, you know, these are the things that, you know, women should do. These are the things that men should do, right? Why, you know, there cannot be a collaboration, you know, or, you know, a shifting of duties, right? Which I think, you know, will make both, you know, happy as well as successful, and you know, make way for each other to sustain better. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. And also the other thing that comes to mind is that, you know, when men start embracing women and the multiple roles that they have, they that mindset, that change needs to actually happen. You don't necessarily have, it doesn't make you less of a man if you're going to help with household chores, if you're going to help with the children, if you're even going to support your wife. I just say, for example, the husband is the one that's working, the wife just only finished school, she didn't go to university. There's nothing stopping the husband from supporting the wife and saying, you know what, I can help you. Let me further your studies, get a career for yourself, and let you grow as a human being. I think that is actually an important thing where we have, it's been inculcated into a man that only he can do everything. A woman shouldn't, you know. But like I said, with the dynamics and with the paradigm shift now in the entire globe, where the role of the woman has actually changed, you know, all of this it's possible for it to happen. And we're seeing it happening, even in terms of women leaders in different countries. I mean, you know, we've got a deputy president in the US. We've got women running in parliaments, you know, all over the world. The roles of women are absolutely changing. And I think one of the greatest challenges is that the communication. When people, whether it's woman to woman, whether it's husband and wife, whether it's any kind of intimate or any other social relationship, when people cannot, or even professional, when people cannot communicate, they cannot talk about what's worrying them. I want to do this. People are so scared to communicate, and that's actually one of the critical factors where not only relationships, where so much else actually fails in life. Anyway, countries go to war. Typical example, you know, Russia and Ukraine. Countries are not communicating. Parliaments or governments are not communicating. So there's mayhem all over. So communication is actually what drives everything and every process. And especially when we talk about the role of women, you know, whether it is the home, whether it is at work, whether it is with the children, whether it is at family relationships, whatever, it's the communication and that being allowed to be open and speak your mind. Because, you know, coming from our background, you know, in the old days, no, women just couldn't talk. They don't speak for themselves. Everything was just yes and no, and like that's it. Now we are given this opportunity to speak your mind, and that's amazing. You know, this new dynamic that has actually happened where we can say what we want to say without fear of oppression or any kind of fear where you cannot say what you want to do. That's absolutely amazing. The sad part also is many countries in the world, we still have, like I said, the abuse. Women are ostracized. There's so much abuse happening all over the world. And it's because of the communication, because of the upbringing of men, and because of society. I always blame society at large. We need to educate society in order to change that mindset, that thinking. You know, entrepreneurship, we always talk about the mindset of the entrepreneur, but when it comes to the role of woman and it comes to society, we also need to change that mindset, the way of thinking. Life has changed. We can't say we're going towards technology, we've 21st century, and yet we still have thinking of the 16th century. It doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Agreed, agreed. Um, I'll move on to, you know, uh, inquire about another issue, which is that many a times I've heard from, men, I am, I also fall into that category, that if you have women as your boss, and also, in your family, right? You have your mother and then your wife, right? So they think that, you know, in my house also, I have to be, within quotes, slaves of women. And I have a boss also who is a woman, right? So do you think that, it's a myth, or a reality, that many men do think that if they are working with under women, then, uh, you know, things become difficult, and there is a lot of, um, uh, should I use the term dictatorship, or certain level of command which women do make over time. So this is actually not true, but then many people perceive so. And in open discussions, when men are with their friends, right, they do say that, my life is hell, right, in my house, in my office. But then I have also seen this, that many women who have their teams as managers are more compassionate, and they can use the emotions much in a much better way, and drive performance much better. So if you can throw some light on this, that's one. And that's my first question. And the other is, you have been in service, you are in service, as well as, you have mentored so many entrepreneurs, right? You're a global mentor. Uh, so I would like to ask you, are women more successful in working for others, or making someone work for them?
That's such an easy question. I think, like I said earlier on, a lot of it actually depends on you as the person, whether it's a male or female. You decide, you make a choice whether you want to actually work for someone as a boss, or whether you want to actually work for yourself. So maybe if I must give some perspective and talk about myself, I like I said, I've got multiple careers. So half of my careers I spent working for a boss, and then the other half of it is actually working for myself. And when I work for myself, it's also a lot of my global work, and also a lot of my utilitarian work that I do. So I think when it comes to, so when you talk about men and the way they feel about women, and women can get bossy and cheeky. So while I was here at the accommodation I'm staying in, so I met a lot of people that come from different sectors in government, different sectors, the police, the prison services, healthcare, and all of that. And something that came to mind is that I always said to myself, even if a woman chooses to be in a man's career, like for example, in the old days, only men were in the police force, only men were in the Navy, only men were the prison wardens. And change actually took place. However, it does not mean, and I say this actually quite often as well, it does not mean that if you are a woman and you are working in a man's world, that you need to become like the man. You don't need to become all male and bossy and vulgar and rude and that kind of stuff. So this is examples I'm giving you, because
Like when you're a policeman, you are that person, you've got to be a tough person. You've got to say things, you've got to be physically and mentally tough. However, when a woman joins, sometimes if they must join that, it doesn't mean that they also have to become like that. You can still be the typical lovely, soft, caring, amazing woman, but also fit into the man's world. It doesn't mean that you have to become like them. So a lot of it actually comes with an individual choice. A lot of it, a lot of careers, a lot of ways that women are also is because of their own choices. I mean, I am across multiple sectors, but I never changed who I am. I never speak differently. I'm speaking the same way I'm speaking to you. Doesn't matter what career I am, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whether it's training or whatever it is. So it's a lot of it is about individual choice. Yes, we've heard with research also that when women get into management positions, because they never had the opportunity before, because now they are in a leading position, they do change. They change, they can become bossy, they can become rude, they can become zero tolerant and all of that. So again, I think it is the woman, her role, who she is, how she sees herself. When we talk about the Johari window, the Johari window in psychology, how you see yourself and how others see you. And I think it's about how you want to be seen and how you want your co-workers and colleagues and family and friends to see you. And a lot of it, as I said, always boils down to individual choices and preferences, how you want to portray yourself out there. You never have to change who you are, what you are, where you come from, only just because now you need to adapt to this specific career or something like that. Also, in terms of men, I think men complain also, but in complaining, they must also do something about it. Like, for example, if you say you are at home, your wife's got her own career and she's bossy with you. So basically, it comes to the fact that the two of you sit down, you communicate with each other, you communicate with your family. And as long as the respect, the pride, the dignity of the woman or even the man, respect for each other is maintained. I think when respect is maintained, so much more in life can actually happen, and everything else that follows can be so successful and non-eventful. It can be absolutely fine. I think it's the fact that the respect has been lost, common decency has been lost, communication has been lost, and that is why families, relationships, whether it is a professional person, all get into trouble because of this now lack of respect, this lack of tolerance of each other, the lack of communication. Or you come from work, coming from a busy day, I'm so tired, I don't want to talk to you, I'm rude, I'm tired and exhausted. So also in saying that, we also need to also look at each one's perspective. So for example, I'm only leaving back for my home on Friday. I'm training the whole week away from home. So I know I've got a 5-hour drive back home on Friday afternoon. So I know when I get home, I'm going to be exhausted. So all I'm going to expect from my family is that, oh, she's been tired, she's been driving on, she's exhausted. So also be a little bit tolerant and say, okay, fine, let's give her a little bit of a break. However, that doesn't mean because I'm tired and I'm exhausted, that must take away my roles and responsibilities that I have in my home, in my work, and everywhere else. It's about putting things into perspective and, strategizing and channeling everything the way it is supposed to be. So I'm not sure if that answers most of your question. Or what was the other thing that you asked me? I didn't quite get that. It's just quite windy here.
Yeah. So I asked that, women as bosses, right?
Yes.
Okay. So at times they are dictatorial.
Dictators.
You agree to
Okay.
it?
Okay. So I can actually give you a good example of that, because myself, I've also been in management for many years. I've been in a line manager, middle management. I've been in senior management as well. And I think it also depends on you. You don't have to lose yourself. You don't have to lose your self-respect, your pride, your dignity, or anything. You just have to embrace everything and everyone around you. That thing about being territorial and being a dictator and saying, I'm telling you what to do and you just do it. And this is the way that it is. Nothing has to be like that. I think it's about personalities. It's about personalities, about building up your character. All of these things, the dynamics that come into place that actually make the person, make the man, and make the woman who they actually are. I worked in management. I never had to forget that I'm a woman, kind, decent, respectful to everybody. I didn't have to change. In fact, when there was conflict in the workplace, conflict anywhere, you learn to deal with conflict in a respectable manner. So if I'm working with you, you're the subordinate, I'm the manager, we are having a clash of personalities, always a clash of personalities, but also then in terms of work, in terms of your performance, if a performance is actually not happening, then all you're going to do in a respectful and in an influential leadership way, you address that. So there's always a way to deal with any type of difference or conflict, anything. It's about sitting together, talking about it, communicating, and working a plan of action on how to deal with the problem further.
Point taken, right? Communication, actually solves a lot of differences, right? Be it in personal life or in professional life. So, we'll conclude our session now. And, I think all of us do agree there is a saying that behind every successful man, there is a woman.
I personally don't believe that behind every successful man there's a woman, or every successful woman there's a man. I think beside every successful person is a person behind them who is supportive, communicative, and embracive. And that's actually what it is. So it doesn't mean that because I'm successful now, that my partner is making me be the successful. No, it's all about embracing it. You have a relationship with someone, whether it's your work, whether it's family, whatever it is, you are just there for constant support. You need help with something you can't manage. You know that there's someone out there that you can rely on. And again, all of it boils down to communication and support in any type of relationship, being business, being professional, being family, or anything like that.
Great. So we had a great session. Thank you so much for the lovely session on successful living, on this Women's Day. I would like to extend my sincerest thanks to Armina Madam, Professor Piyush Pandit, the founder of International Internship University, for giving us this opportunity. So it was beamed live, and the video would be there, so you can share with everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks to all the participants. I hope all of you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much for inviting me on this wonderful Women's Day, and wishing all the women a happy Women's Day. However, I believe Women's Day is every day. It's every day. So thank you very much for this day, and thank you for the opportunity as well. Thank you.